Hey-ho, let's go. Sorry we're 10 seconds late. The graphics department's away. Welcome back to our show. As with July upon us, we begin to look at a few Major League Baseball teams who should push their chips into the middle of the table prior to the trade deadline and maybe who should punt the season. But as we always do, we begin by asking you the question, where else would you rather be than right here? Boom! Right now. You are looking live at our split studios. Yes, it's a different look. We actually have a co-host tonight with hair. This is Fantasy Baseball Now, episode 44, part of our show, part of the Ball9.com podcast network. In our 72nd collective year of fantasy baseball, Mike and I are here each week to talk some Major League Baseball with a fantasy spin. That is not Mike. I will get to that in just a moment. Where is Mike? Well, I'm back from an awesome time at Disney World, but for tonight's show, Mike is on his own respite, off into the Adirondacks, most certainly with a cooler of happiness and probably his banjo, and he'll be back next week. So in place of Mike Nelson, we have Battlefield Bob, Iron Brigade Baseball. He's a frequent guy on the show, a lot of comments from him. Yes. How are you, my friend? Thank you for pinch hitting tonight. Is this going to be a Wally Pipp situation?
That's where I was going. You know, Mike had a headache. I fill in. Rest is history. Wally Pipp. No, I'm doing well. 4th of July week. Baseball is just, if you like baseball, it's high tide right now. Just the excitement of most of the teams and some of these players. It's a fun time.
We got, I wish Mike were here. Mike, if you're out there and you don't get any TV reception out in the woods, good thing for you. Bad thing for me having Will Warren in my active lineup. 3 2/3, 10 hits. He's still out there taking one for the team. He's getting pummeled. Hopefully he gives up a long one to Guerrero. At least help my offense a little bit. But 8 earned runs for Wope. He's through the 4th, down 8-0. But so what we wanted to talk about tonight is, and it's fantasy time too. We'll get into some buy and sell or sell in the fantasy world shortly. But Major League Baseball, buy or sell, it's time. It's time. Are you a pretender or are you a contender? And then we decided to pick out a couple of teams. Where are they? You know, some of them are perennial contenders on my end. And what are they thinking? So, Bob, throw a team at me. Buy or sell? Where are they in the standings? And what do you think?
Thanks for letting me lead. I had some fun with this. And as we know, there's so many more teams that make the playoffs, 12, which I think back to when there was 4. It kind of dates all of us. And the Braves were in the NL West. So some of this is what I really want besides what I think a team should do. And the team that just excites me is the Los Angeles Angels. Yeah. I mean, their owner's kind of like aggressive. Like he can smell that they're in it, and they are. And they got great chemistry. I feel like they have, besides Trout, you're mixing it with some of these great young players. They need a center fielder and they need bullpen, like everyone does. Your guy there, he's a great he should be a setup guy. Kenley Jansen's not quite trustworthy.
He's volatile for sure.
But put him in the 8th, and if they say they got a Shelby Miller, and that's the team, I might go to the other side maybe. But that's what they should do, and give it a shot. The Angels, they're playing well. If they continue it could be a fun summer, the rest of the summer.
It could. They surprised me a little bit. But, the Angels are, this might sound crazy, they're one of my least favorite teams. I don't root for them ever, being in the A's division. I kind of mock them, and I've enjoyed it for a long, long time. The organizational malpractice, wasting Mike Trout's career, taking the risk on Shohei, and you're going to hold on to him and maybe re-sign him, and they lost like 82 games in a row after the trade deadline, and that was over. The guy Mike and I talked about last week was Joe Adell. I'm happy for him to finally showing some of that promise It's an interesting situation with them. They're lurking 8.5 out. Houston's been a little bit better than I thought they would be, but
Yeah,
the Angels are in the mix, right? They enter the day game and a half out of the
yeah,
wild card standings.
yeah. They're not looking for, I don't think, to win the division, obviously, but just to get in the playoffs after what they've gone through. I think, like you said, with the whole Otani thing, and uh, they're I think they should go for it. I think
Yeah.
I really do.
I'm gonna sell on a team, one of the teams I really enjoy watching and root for, and that's Atlanta. They're 7.5 out of the last wild card spot. They've had nothing remotely resembling consistency this year. Chris Sale's a pending free agent, 36, currently on the IL. He's a candidate if he can come back and pitch. The two things that jump out at me about the Braves, and I don't know how you fix this, without, I don't know what they could give up or what they could bring in. They just have guys not achieving anything. They're 15-28 on the road, but they're 10th in the National League of runs scored, ahead of the Pirates and the Rockies, which is mind-boggling to me. And I know Acuna was hurt for a while, but they have way too much talent with Olsen and Albies and Riley and Ozuna, Michael Harris, and they should. The fact that they're 10th in runs tells me there's a problem. I'd have fired Brian Snitker a long time ago, earlier this year. I think they needed a shakeup. Now they almost look disinterested sometimes, and I watch them play like they're just going through the motions.
Yeah. Well, losing Schwellenbach, that's huge today. The news came down.
How long is he out for?
Oh, it's a fractured elbow. Didn't sound good.
That's a bad one. There's another injury.
That could change their decision. I mean, let's face it. What do we have? Almost 4 full weeks before the trade deadline. We're speculating today, and it's a lot of fun, but a lot can happen. Teams get hot, not hot.
Yep.
More injuries. That injury to him could sway them to be sellers.
It very well might.
That's weird. That's weird as a Met fan to say the Braves are sellers. Like,
yeah,
Christmas is here.
It just hasn't. They haven't fired the ignitions yet this year. It just hasn't happened. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Give me another one. What else you got?
Another one. Well, I'll just mention them quickly because once again, this is a wish list. I hope the Reds this year finally, step up to the plate, make some moves, because they just have really nice, fun team, and they're right in the mix right now. But I'm going to go to a seller, and it's the Diamondbacks. I kind of mentioned that because
welcome BU, otherwise known as Cooperstown Collection.
There it is. I think the next couple of weeks we're going to see some of the weaknesses come out, and they're going to kind of just fade and hemorrhage lower in the line or in the standings. And they have a lot of free agents: Suarez, Josh Naylor, Shelby Miller, Galen. By the way, whoever picked up Zach Gallen, I think Todd, good job. Merrill
Kelly. I had him for about half an hour.
Yeah, Steve's kicking himself too. But I think when push comes to shove, they're going to look to reboot their farm system, and they have a lot of. Who wouldn't want Suarez as a third baseman?
Sure,
I'll take him.
They're one of my teams on my list too to sell. And it's interesting. They're 43 and 42. They're only 3 out of the wild card, but you hear Josh Naylor's name everywhere. Corbin Carroll's on the IL. Corbin Burns is out for the year.
Next year too.
Yeah. The other hard part about that is they're in a division with the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants.
That's
3 teams that are clearly better than them, and they're going to see them plenty in the second half.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's 2 teams to try and climb just in the wild card that they have to get over. I don't see it. And it's, again, you would think for a team only 3 games out, but they're talking about Josh Naylor being moved during the game I watched last week. So there definitely seems like that is the mindset there. Yeah.
And I wish them well. Like you said, there's just too much competition ahead of them that they're just good teams, and they're, they ain't going to be any pushovers there. So what about you? Do you have another, you got to buy?
I do have, I have one. And what it would take is a philosophical change of an organization and say, hey, maybe let's try and win. The Orioles should buy. Again, it hasn't happened for them. 37-48, 7 games behind a mind-blowing minus 81 run differential going into tonight. But they still have some young kids that they could try and get a couple of arms in there and make a run. I think they have just too many good young players. Rutschman's hurt, sure. Gunner's playing better. Kowser's back.
Yeah.
Holiday's picking it up.
Yeah.
And I think a run is possible for them.
Interesting.
So why not? But even if you take a chance and it doesn't work, try and set the table for next year.
Yeah.
Because you can't have that garbage staff again next year. You just can't.
Yeah. So what do you think? They'd go after obviously starting pitching, and I mean,
yeah, I think they're okay on the back end. Batista's not going to kill you. He's not the same he was before his injury, but he's okay. But yeah, go see if you can go pick out somebody. Pick out somebody off the teams that aren't going anywhere.
They could get Grayson Rodriguez back, maybe, at the All-Star break, but that doesn't count as a trade. But when these guys come back, it is like a trade.
Go knock on the tires of Luis Severino. The A's are going to have to pay some of that contract just to unload him.
Right.
He wasn't worth the. We'll get to that later, but he's been lights out on the road this year.
Yeah.
Why not? They'll give them away. They don't care.
No, it's a good point.
It can't hurt. It's got to be better than what they have. So they've been trotting out there. Well, what do you got next?
I think that's all I really have. I have two big question marks.
Yes.
And we can go and we can talk on them. Which way? The Rays and the Cardinals. I'm really curious about those two.
Yeah, the Rays, I got to be honest with you, they're dull as shit.
Who are they?
Yeah, they won again today. They beat the Avs. The plus 69 run differential is fantastic. You wouldn't expect. I just look at Tampa and they just seem to be like the team that's there. I don't really pay much attention to them. If they have the assets, I would buy.
Yeah.
I mean, the Yankees are getting pounded again tonight. Again, being the operative word, Mike. So the Rays could wake up tomorrow half a game out of first place. Absolutely, go for it. Is the ownership an issue there? Maybe. You hope not.
Yeah.
They're playing in a AAA stadium, and I don't know if that's really affected the crowds. Nobody really gave
I'm not sure
about them before that, but they should go for it. Why not?
You watch them play, and they played the Mets. Obviously, they don't do anything wrong, and they seem to have clutch hits, and they just they beat you. They just beat you. Like they're By the way, I think you spoke. It's 8-6 Blue Jays over the Yankees. I think the Yankees might have woken up a little bit.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. You can.
Wow. I'll take a quick look at that. The Yankees put up a 6 spot. Jeez.
I heard someone in the Adirondacks just scream, Mr. Nelson.
He might have. He's humming that banjo even harder now. Now, what about the Cardinals? What are your thoughts?
That one, I still think they're. So I think in that division, the Cubs seem to be coming back a little bit, and Brewers are tough. But the Cardinals aren't going away.
Stanton hit a 3-run homer for the Yankees, by the way.
Was it really? Wow.
Yep.
That's interesting what Stanton will do. But I still think in that division, though, like right now, the Cardinals are 4.5 behind the Cubs, and the Brewers are between them. The Reds are. That's going to be a fun summer watching what happens in that NL Central down the stretch. I mean, you have 4 teams they're all fun to watch. And
I'll get 5 now. Pittsburgh's won 6 in a row.
That's true.
They're not going to make the playoffs, but geez, imagine if they could get Skeensy a couple runs a game.
Yes. Yes.
So, and that's a division. It's funny. I don't really have a rooting favorite in there. I probably only kind of dislike the Cardinals, but not really. I enjoy watching a lot of NL Central baseball.
Yeah. I do have a soft spot. One of my buddies is a big Reds fan, and so the way they've just brought all this youth in, and hopefully they get Green back too. And they got really good pitching. They need to figure it out, but they have a great fan base. They support Cincinnati baseball, obviously, so it'd be fun to see them back in the playoffs one day.
Yeah. The interesting one I talked to you about this earlier is the Royals, who I had really high hopes for them this year. They've been a massive disappointment.
Yeah,
they've had some injuries. Reagan's basically was not right all year. Lugo was out for a while. If they don't go on a run by the All-Star break, then they got to pack it in. They're only 4.5 out.
Yeah,
but they're 2-8 in their last 10. Minus 34 run diff, which isn't, it's terrible. They got some young kids. They need to start hitting. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But the Royals have about a week and a half.
Right. I think a lot of teams do. I think, we kind of touched on that, but I think there's a lot of teams that the next 10, 12 days, their GM's going to have to make a tough decision, and they might upset fans. And the Red Sox is another one. And, we always talk about our friend up in Mass. I think they should sell. I'm going to just brush it and touch it. But
really, go for it.
But I just think that, what happened, some people think they should have traded Devers in the offseason. We don't know what's going on in the locker room, how toxic it was or wasn't. They have incredible young players, especially position-wise. And from what I understand, they have a great farm system. And, it's hard, but I've heard Duran's on the block. Like, how does a guy like Johan Duran, am I saying it right?
Darren,
yeah. He's a center fielder, and there's a bunch of teams looking for center fielders. Like, boy, he would bring a lot back.
He should. The funny thing about the Devers trade, before they traded Garcia Parra because he was pissing everybody off in the locker room. They won the World Series. Did the same with Manny Ramirez in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I still don't think their pitching is deep enough.
Right.
Even though Crochet's been great.
Oh, amazing.
I don't think it's deep enough, but you never know. But I don't know. They have such a good young cast of players coming.
Yeah.
I think if Duran gets traded, that would be an interesting thing. And I've heard that rumor too.
Yeah, right. Or Story, like it makes sense if they trade him, get a lot for him. One of those guys is a natural shortstop. Is it not Anthony? Anthony's Myers. Yeah, so that would make sense to be able to slide him in there. Probably get a lot for Trevor Story if they decide to move him.
He can help somebody. My other sell is the obvious one. For this reason. I'm not talking about the trade deadline. I'm talking about sell the team, John.
Yeah, I know. That's a big sell.
I brought them up tonight on the heels of Mike blindsiding me with that topic last week. My mother probably didn't care for the salty language, but it was unscripted and it was from the heart. Props to Luis Severino. The A's overpay him in the offseason because nobody else is going to give him over $20 million a year. Sorry, Louis. He didn't deserve it, but the A's gave it to him because they're trying to do everything they could to have somebody take their money and they could get to the threshold of salary that revenue sharing teams get without Baseball Players Association filing a grievance. So Severino has just been on it since day one. That's not even barely a AAA park. It's not MLB standards. He's out of rhythm. His home stats are terrible. His road stats are actually really, really good. And it's funny. Part of me is like, wow, man, they gave him all that money and he's been popping off. But hey, it may get you traded out of town to a contender, and you take your bag with you.
Yeah.
The interesting thing though, and I saw this earlier, was the A's have guaranteed the Players Association they would carry the salary throughout the year. If they trade him and it reduces, now what?
Yeah.
Do they have to potentially hold on to him to not get the grievance by? And if they lose that, potentially they could lose some of that revenue sharing money that they're so interested in. That it's an interesting dilemma. But good for Severino. And he said it. Everybody in the room is feeling this way. He's the only one talking about it. To see if the Players Association, after the year ends, starts lighting them up a little bit for playing in such a half-ass facility. So sell the team, move back to Oakland, and let's just call it a day.
Yeah, you'll forgive them. Let's just move on, right?
I have no problem with the players. Love the players.
Yeah.
Love the players. Congrats,
Yeah,
Jake.
how could you not? You have a great team. I mean,
Yeah, Jacob Wilson won the All-Star voting today, which is awesome.
That is great. Hey, I got a question. Like, if you and Mike would do a show, one thing was if you play fantasy baseball, we're coming into the next 3-4 weeks. You can have your heart broken. And what I'm getting at real quick is you have 2 closers, you're set. One of them, Shelby Miller, I mentioned, a guy like that. You know, it could be Bednar, who I have also, and he gets traded. And where does he go? Maybe to obviously a contender, and he becomes the setup guy.
Yep.
That's heartbreaking, and
yeah.
You hope you have the handcuff or something, but that's for down the road if you guys ever want to discuss that, because that's you can try to predict it and say, you know what, I need to get Bednar's backup right now because it's July 24th, blah blah blah, and you're watching the waivers. You got to be on your toes, especially if you're competing in fantasy.
Yeah, I sweated that out last year with Kyle Finnegan because everybody thought he was going to get traded from the Nats to be a setup guy, and I was in second place in the league.
Yeah.
Boy, was that fun because I ain't second place this year. But everybody thought he was leaving, and he hung in there, and he stayed in, and he became the closer throughout the year. But you talk about the buy, sell in fantasy. I started selling a few weeks ago. I just woke up one day and I was just plummeting the standings. I had a great pitching staff, but my offense was so bad the first 5-6 weeks. What a dumpster fire. And I just woke up literally at 6 a.m. I'm like, man, it was a Saturday. I'm like, this party's over. I'm in 10th place, 50 points out. Now it's worse. And I was like, last year I hung in there. I was way behind Booger's baseball. He was going to win the league. But I'm like, I want to play the whole season.
Sure.
I'm tired of being also ran and a dreg of the league.
You
played the whole year, finished second, was thrilled. I'm like, you know what? I got some tradable guys here. Zach Wheeler, Chris Sale, Will Smith, a few others.
Yep.
Run some extra picks. For context, if you don't know, we play in a 5x5 league, 12 teams. You keep 5 at the end of each year. So I've loaded up on some picks, and I've had 5 pretty good keepers right now heading in. But what about you? When do you usually – for me, it's the All-Star break. I say I give it 2 weeks after the All-Star break, am I a buyer or seller? But this year, the writing was on the wall. It wasn't my fault. It was the players' fault. I did a great job drafting them.
And when you did that – I'm like, I come up with some fun things sometimes. And I was like, no, I'm not going to say anything to Sean. But there was a rumor there was people outside your house wearing a shirt like yours that used to support Team Pugsley that said sell after you got rid of Sale and Wheeler. And they're like, how can I support Team Pugsley baseball? And he gets rid of all of our great players. But you have great draft capital and you have a sharp mind. So I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I have a good keeper base, right? I had Vladimir Guerrero about 6 weeks ago in a trade.
No, yeah, hell yeah.
Jacob Wilson. I still believe in Lawrence Butler.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper just came to Team Pugsley for the first time ever over the weekend while I was in the airport lobby. I accepted.
There you go. Hey, Harper, Guerrero, that's those are the guys you can win with. So
absolutely. All right. Now, when do you decide? What's your fantasy strategy? Do you? But one of the reasons I jumped was, if you're going to bail, it's better to be first. I didn't make the first big trades of during the season for next year, but I got in on it because sooner or later the buyer list may run out.
Sure. No, and the good point, because which is a beauty of a league like we do. Somebody falls out like Sean. What he's doing is setting himself up for next year, because we're not going anywhere. We've been doing this 30-something years. And at the same time, he's helping a team win the championship. This year is very strange. It's almost like the 12 teams that make the playoffs, like Nelson, me. There's a bunch of people right in the middle of the pack. You got 2 teams that are fighting right now. It's still only halfway. I could give up, but I'm gonna My offense is fine. I just need to fix pitching. I got pitching coming back. So a lot of us aren't going to sell, but you made an excellent point. So the key is to get those first-round picks, second-round picks. That's what you've done. Some teams, especially ones that like to make those moves, have made those moves. So the cupboard's dry. So if I want to make a move and trade somebody, Christopher Sanchez, Teoscar Hernandez, maybe not a keeper, but really good fringe players for keepers, and ask for a 1, well, there's less teams to ask for a 1. So you're right about that. Strike one, irons hot.
I put my bullpen on the block the other day with Pagan and Jansen and no buyers. Mostly because Booger says it has a decent lead right now. So
that's it. I think the teams that are competing have pretty good bullpens right now. But once again, in 3 weeks, one of those guys comes out of nowhere. Who was the team where they made that trade and the guy who was one of the best closers, was it Cleveland? The setup guy was kicking ass. I mean, like no one saw that coming. So until that trade deadline's over, we're not safe.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, hey, you ready to go to hot and not?
Yeah, a couple hots and nots, right?
All right, you can lead off, my friend. Who's hot?
You gave me an assignment, and I just dove in and kind of looked at, went to some websites, and Max Muncy just jumped out at me. I'm the type of person that I go to bed early as I get older, but every morning I look at every box score, and for some reason I check every error too. I don't know why I have a little weird thing about errors. And Muncy, like every night, besides that one night, I think he had 7. He was just lighting it up. Those 2 weeks I wrote down he had 20 RBIs. That's more than my team gets most of the time. He had 4 homers, 13 runs. He batted .333, slugging .737. I mean, I'm a big fan of his, and he's a streaky player. Listen, he'll do 1 for 21 probably in a couple weeks.
He's an interesting guy. You've always liked him.
Yeah,
he seems like if you're going to own him, you almost just don't look at the day-to-day.
Yeah, right.
Look at the overall. Hi,
right.
Mike. How are you? Thank you for joining us this evening from your tent.
Rest in peace, Mr.
Parker,
the Cobra. I was thinking of him today. That it's life, but it's sad when some of these players that
Sure. We'll go to Dave Parker if you want for a second. The thing about it, when he got voted in last year, when I heard his name on the ballot, my first thought was he's not already in the Hall of Fame. Why are we at this stage with Dave Parker? I would have thought that should have been a layup.
Yeah, it did feel that way watching him. I think we all watched his whole career, and some of these players I didn't see, their whole career, but he was a game changer. Fun team too.
Yes. Yeah, we are family.
Yeah.
Who's hot in Boston? I can't believe I'm putting this guy up there. From the Red Sox. Lucas Giolito, 36th ranked player in CBS the last 21 days. He's owned in 69% of leagues, started in 42. Last couple outings, 19 innings, ERA of 0.95, whip of 0.89, and 20 strikeouts. Is he going to be your forever guy the rest of the year? No, because he's not consistent the way he was a few years ago. But right now, ride the hot hand until he tells you not. Will Warren, thanks tonight. Oh, Bob, to give you another update, the Braves offense that we were just critiquing being shut out by Yusei Kikuchi this evening. 2-0 Angels in the 6th.
Wow, that's amazing. That's it's a fun series watching those two. I really get a kick out of that.
All right, now who's cold?
Ooh, ice cold, baby.
This hurts us both. This is painful.
I was gonna take Jake, the cat guy, but yeah.
Yeah, look, everyone's kind of the way I am right now. 81% owned in CBS, only started in 32. He's not the first high-profile prospect to come up.
No.
And he has struggled. He's hitting 151, 2 homers that were in the same game, 4 ribs. Be patient, because if you've watched him play and watched him swing the bat, the ball seems to really come off the bat nicely with some pop. He'll be fine. Be patient. Put him on your bench, but be patient with Keggs. He'll be okay.
I agree. Listen, how many times a young player comes up and, it could be Corbin Carroll, any of these guys, and it's like musical chairs. Whose team is he on when they finally go boom? And you're like, I had him last year, but I couldn't keep him, and I wanted to draft him in the third round. He got taken the second. And this guy, he's the real deal, though. He's going to be fine.
He'll be okay.
Yeah. Mine is personal, like, because I'm a Met fan, and God, I have never seen someone like Pete Alonso carry the Mets or a team, earlier in the season. It was just, in fantasy wise, his numbers, he was almost like at 50 RBIs before you could, call it, Easter Sunday or something. But he has really struggled. I pulled up and I was shocked that in the last couple of weeks, this might be a day or two later, 1 homer, 2 RBIs.
Wow.
5 runs, 21 strikeouts, like just super cold. And once again, baseball is streaky, and I wouldn't worry about him. Maybe compared to your pick, don't take him out of the lineup because you will regret it. He'll burn you because he will get hot. He's going to get hot.
He'll get it. He's too good.
He's too good. Yeah, and I'm watching the Met bullpen implode again. 5-0. Now it's 5-3. Brewers. Who was this? Tidewell. Wasn't that where we used to play? Oh, no, that was Tidewater.
Jesus. Yeah, right. I can't believe the Yankees put up a 6 spot after I took a victory lap on them.
Yeah. You think you're cocky. I love baseball. You just,
Yep. All right. Who are you going to go? Who are you getting?
I'll start. I just like his name. Once again, we're in a couple leagues, and I saw he was picked up, and I knew who he was. But boy, that Marlin team, they seem to be having a lot of fun, and they're playing really good baseball, and he's a big part of it. So you're adding a guy, I think, that was owned at the time 48% of the league, played in 35, very low, batting third for that team. Last few weeks, he scored 10 runs, 16 RBIs, a couple homers. He's not really known for that. Let's face it, batting average is a category. Batted .316.
Absolutely.
I think the Marlins are going to actually be a lot of fun down the stretch. And listen, like anything, garbage time or whatever it is, he's going to have those 3 for 5s and a couple runs and a steal, and he's going to fill those categories for you.
No, they're playing great too. 8 in a row. I look at the Marlins 8 in a row and the Pirates 6.
Yeah.
My ad, I'm going to put Uncle Ted. Welcome back, my friend. Got to put this Uncle Ted's comment up. I learned about Grant Taylor from Uncle Ted.
Yeah.
He's owned in 90% of leagues. Started in just 12. Go get this guy. Yeah, it's the White Sox. He's not going to light you up in saves, but it's coming. And now he's got 1 strikeout per inning this year. He's gotten saves in his last couple games. 0.80 whip. He to me may be the next great closer coming up, and he's going to get to work. White Sox might as well see what they have the rest of the year with him. So if you need saves, go get him now. I can't believe he's only owned in 19% of the leagues.
Yeah, those numbers are just, it passes the sniff test. Like they're going to win games. They're not the Rockies.
No, the 28 and 57. Okay, that's really fucking terrible, but okay. But that's 28. That's more they had last year.
Sean, what do you always say? A save is a save. I don't give a crap.
Nope.
The White Sox might play closer games than, I have the Dodger closer, but they keep winning 8-2. It's not helping my cause. So, no, that's a great pickup right there, I think.
I get closers I don't care about their ERA. I don't care about their whip.
Right.
Because they don't usually pitch enough.
Right.
With me, I go 5 starters and 2 relievers.
Mm-hmm.
The starters are giving me the innings. That's where my stats for 4 of our 5 categories are being driven from.
Yes.
Yeah, a closer with a great ERA or whip is nice, or Mason Miller strikeouts is bonus there.
Yeah.
but they don't log enough innings to impact your pitching staff the way a starter that goes out and starts 32, 33 games a year.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That's why I devalue closers.
We all get them. I don't know if quick story, but I always tell you how you talked me into getting that baseball package, which I love, and watch it on my phone and put it on the TV. But every time I watch a game when I have a pitcher, all hell breaks loose. So the other day I'm watching Shelby Miller against the Marlins, and it just implodes in me. And so it was a horrible outing. It was 1 inning, 3 earned runs, lost and blown save, which we don't count anymore, thank God. But that didn't hurt as much as the guy we'll get to later that I had on my roster. When a starter does what a starter can do or not do, that's hard to overcome and drops you like a rock in the standings. So.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm just reviewing Will Warren's line in my active line.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
I need to go elsewhere.
I'll take the 1/3 and the 54 ERA you get because you gave up a couple homes, then 8 innings or 6 innings of, a dozen runs.
Uncle Ted with the wisdom. Don't ever watch your pitcher, man. It is a heartache. It's brutal.
I'm done.
All right. Who's on the cut line for you?
This is it. This is the guy. This is the guy right here.
It's just
I thought it was a good idea. I'm going to give him one more chance. Last week, he used to be my number one. That's how bad my pitching staff was. And he was actually doing pretty well in April. And during my off season, I kept reading how great he's going to be. Let me just read a couple of things real quick. Let's just go to the last 4 starts starting June 12th. 4 innings, 7 earned runs against Texas. Cincinnati, 5 innings, 4 earned runs. Seattle, 7 innings, 7 earned runs. Detroit, 5 innings, 7 earned runs.
Wow.
I'm done. And then today, he gets put on the DL with a hip injury. Like you and Mike have said, when a guy sucks, let's just say he's hurt.
Yeah, say he's hurt.
He's really hurt. He should be hurt. So never again. I wanted to call him Bailey Aubert, but
he made the never again list.
I think Aubert sounds more French, but his name is Ober. Yeah, he sucks. Cut him anywhere you have him. Get rid of him.
My cut is it actually bothers me that I had Walker Buehler as the breakout player for the Red Sox before the start of the year. I thought he was going to take last year's postseason, run with it. Newtown, help and lead that staff with Crochet, and he's been an absolute disaster. 67 painful innings, a 1.58 whip, 58 whip, ERA 6.45. That's hard to do. Okay, yeah, he's got some strikeouts, less than 1 an inning, but that is legit hard to do. And Alex Cora, they just keep giving the ball. Dude, it ain't getting any better. Sit him down with a Bailey Ober hip for a couple weeks and reset. Okay, because this ain't working. This ain't working.
It's not
so
working.
Yeah, and that bothers me because I wanted to see him do well this year because, like I said, I thought he would and put it out there in front of the Fantasy Baseball Now world. All right, you ready for next week?
So hold on, you had 2 Red Sox on your two Red Sox.
Maybe that's why they're stuck in the middle.
we don't know what they're going to do.
I know one guy's trending up, and this guy has been garbage all year. Yeah,
I hear you. Yeah.
All right, next week.
Here we go. Yeah, that's what I had written down.
Pavetter's your boy?
I chose the Astros. They're playing well. Horrible news today about Alvarez. If he could stay healthy, he would be a top 5 player, I believe, in MLB without being a speed guy. But the Astros are playing well. The pitching's there. All of a sudden, Cam Smith is waking up, and
yeah, he is.
And I just like that they're home. I like the pitching. I mean, maybe hopefully they missed DeGrom. But I think they're going to have a good time there, those 6 games at home next week. and just start pulling away. They could start pulling away for some teams, and we'll see what unfolds.
But I like the Reds. They're a team I want to see make a run, and I think they will. I love Francona as the manager. The guy wins. I think he'll figure it out. They're lurking in the bushes. Maybe they should be on the buy list as well. Home to Miami. I know they're playing great, but home to Miami for 4 and home to the Rockies for 3. You could do that, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. Again, I know Miami's playing great. We'll see how they can hold it up the next 4 or 5 days. But it's a great matchup for Cincinnati with their hitters. The Marlins are 26th in ERA as a team, and the Rockies are last. That ERA is 5.50. So there might be some balls flying around Great American Ballpark next 7 days, start next Monday.
Add some Reds or play your Reds if you have them for sure. Yep. I think that's going to be a fun time there. That ball does carry there. It stays hot like it has been. We're going to see some double-digit scoring there.
Yeah, and my pitcher to watch, my 2-star guy, Nick Martinez has only started in 27% of the leagues.
Yeah.
I generally don't like going after guys who just, like in his case, almost threw a no-hitter, or the random guy who's available that throws a no-hitter.
Right.
Because that's probably as good as they're going to do. I'm going to go against that.
Yes.
With Martinez, just because the aforementioned Marlins and Rockies are coming into town.
Right.
I think those are good matchups for him, and hopefully he secures a spot in that starting rotation for the Reds.
No, I tell you, he's gonna. He's like I said, they're a team I'm really rooting for, and hopefully get Hunter Green back. They could be in the market for some. Listen, I think every team's gonna look for relievers, but they can make a big splash. They might try to add a closer or a setup guy. And I chose Nick Pivetta. He's had a really interesting year. I think he started off a little quick and then maybe settled in, but he pitched today. I was just looking, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. He's going to be home for Arizona. I'm sorry. No, he's home for Arizona and for the Phillies. And I just think Padres are another team that they're starting to really go. I think their hitting's really going to take off in those series on some of those pitchers. And those are some fun games too. When you start getting San Diego, Philly, these could be the matchups in October, and it's fun to watch. These matchups that are coming up, and
Nick Martinez tonight up in Fenway. They're up 5-4 in the 7th. 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Not bad.
Not bad. No, that's not bad. Any other updates on the Yankees or anybody?
Let me check on them.
8-7, I think.
The Braves.
So if Toronto wins, they're tied, right? If Toronto happens to pull it out tonight, or
that is factually correct.
Okay. Wow. Mike Nelson might come back to Pennsylvania in second place.
The Braves just took a 3-2 lead after we trashed them a little bit. So,
how are those black flies doing up there, Mr. Nelson? They'll carry you away. They're so big.
All right. What else you got? Anything else before we move along?
I do like what Uncle Ted said. Mitch Keller, another guy like that, just seems like he's figuring it out. I don't know what he's owned in our league, but by the way, thank you. And I got to be careful because he pitches again. I pitched Edward Cabrera because you guys had that in your show. So if you listen to this show, it helps sometimes.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
Not very often.
No, he looked really good the other night.
I'm in 10th place.
I had him a couple years ago, and when he's on, he can be those strikeouts, and he can look as dominant as anybody.
Yeah, hey, look, we recommended him. If you just tell yourself, maybe take the Uncle Ted page, don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Yeah.
But if you can live with the walks, that's the caveat. He's going to walk guys.
Right.
But if you can live with it,
right,
the rest of it's really good. He's going to give you. He'll give up his runs, but you're going to like some of the other stuff too.
Yeah, I think last night was kind of an exception. I think he might have walked one or two.
Yeah,
with like 2 hits, and usually it's like maybe 2 or 3 hits with like 5 or 6 walks. Okay, you get it. He's wild, and that's part of his being effective. Is batter has no idea where that ball's going, and maybe he doesn't either. So, but the other one, which I didn't, and you talked about him on the show, and he's going to be next week's write-in candidate for drop will be Hayden Birdsong, piece of shit. There's another one.
I love Hayden Birdsong.
You can have him.
Okay, what do you want?
Nothing. I'm going to cut him. I don't know what happened. I think he just ran out of kind of like Clay Holmes, just tired.
That's it. That's all there is.
Just tired.
I'll keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Please do. So.
All right. So next, go ahead.
Just to add, I was telling everybody how I love box scores. It's my favorite thing in the morning with coffee, and the whole experience. I've noticed it so much this year, and I took one out of today's box scores. The bottom third of the batting order is producing as much or more than the early or middle part where you think you have your stud players.
Really?
I'm serious. Like today, I looked at the Pirates. The bottom third had 4 RBIs. They only had 5 for the whole game. They were 3 for 7 with 2 runs. It's happening like all over the league. Like within the last month, I've just been like, so like Guerrero, take this. You scored how many runs the other night? 12. You figure your guy in the middle of the order is going to have something. And he was 0 for 5. And then you see like the guys down at the bottom. There's 6 RBIs in the bottom third. It's just maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's a pattern lately. And if you have a chance to look at the box scores and see if I'm right or wrong.
We'll check.
Hey, can we go to some callers?
No, we cannot. We cannot.
That'll be soon.
We are working on it. That
might end the show.
Maybe. One more from Uncle Ted before we cut you loose. All right, next week, the Fantasy Baseball Now All-Star. Wilson, man, that's awesome. He was starting that game for the Sacramento Aths. All right, with that, Bob, thanks for joining us. Mike, enjoy the woods.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast. Happy 4th of July to everyone. Happy Independence. Have fun up in the Adirondacks, Mr. Nelson, Sean. Good talking to you. Good seeing you. Thanks,
all right, buddy. Be good. Thanks. See y'all next Tuesday, 8:30.
Wow. I'll be tuning in.
Awesome.